This episode of Nightblog brought to you by failure. Oh, gosh.
I would say, as a band geek, we succeeded vastly.
Well,
as political and and general stature in school, we failed immensely.
I will say, the way I did kind of succeed as the band president, we had a new band director that year.
Okay.
And the previous one resigned somewhat in disgrace. I don't know why. There's like wild rumors about it, so I don't know what's true, what's not.
Oh.
But he was.
Can I hear one?
I'd rather not say because I don't want to perpetuate online because I still do appreciate the guy. I'll tell you after. But like, so he was very beloved guy, very beloved band director, and so whoever was going to replace him is just going to be hosed by especially my class, the seniors. And the guy that replaced him, I wouldn't say couldn't be more opposite, but he was pretty opposite in a lot of regards to the other guy.
Yeah.
But he did bring us seniors aside and said, what were the things that the previous guy did that you really want to make sure you still do this year? I don't want to come in and change everything and ruin your seniors.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I tried my hardest to kind of play peacekeeper because I knew, like, if we want to have a good time, like, we got to give this dude a chance. He's working hard. But there's some things I wish I went back and thinking, Alex, I wish I would have said to my new banter, like, hey, maybe you should do this. Like, for example, we did the band lock-in, and him and the assistant band director just, like, locked themselves in their office to clean instruments and do some work. I'm like, no, you should be out here getting to know your students.
Right.
And I wish I would have said, hey, Mr. Band Director, this is a good time to build some rapport.
Yeah.
Like, it would mean a lot to us if you came out there with us tonight and spent some time with us. I wish I would have said that as a student, but anyway.
Well, I mean, you told me you were a failure, and now you've proven it. You were a failure.
Hey, I was able to kind of distance some things in my class. Like, dude, it's this guy's first year. Give him a break, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, at least you were a peacekeeper.
I tried.
Hey, stargazers.
Greetings, stargazers. Keep looking to the skies.
Oh, never look down unless you see a star fall and you want to find out where it went.
I should totally just put a random clip of Stargazer in here so people know where that stargazing
That's actually a good idea.
comes from.
Or maybe not, and I think we made it up.
I wish we made it up.
I wish we did,
But really,
too.
it's to honor a weird, obscure PBS show that was 5 minutes long.
Very obscure.
That would air for 5 minutes between showings of the Red Green Show on our local PBS station.
Which we watched.
It was great.
A lot.
Yeah.
Actually, every time I was over at your house, that would be like our nighttime ritual.
Yeah, like if you were over on a Saturday night, like we watched the Red Green, Jack Horkheimer, Stargazer, and that guy is a nutter.
Yeah.
And then another Red Green, and then the repeat of Jack Horkheimer to
Yeah.
tell us what star constellations we could see that week. Keep looking up! Like his shoulders were perpetually up here.
That's the reason he talked that way, is because like your vocal cords have room right here.
Uh-huh.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. But that dude loves the star. He loved the sky.
Love the sky.
Love the sky. Love the stars.
But you know what I love?
That was the sound. That was the music. Remember it? Uh-huh. That weird, like, theremin type thing?
Yeah, where it was like the single tone synth.
It's a Casio keyboard.
That he definitely had and was like, guys, I have a great soundtrack.
It was the demo song from the Casio keyboard.
So,
we're not talking about Stargaze.
No,
We're going to talk about
similar to the sound of like that synth. I'd say that's kind of like what some Atari games sounded like. Segway. The Atari VCS is going to be a thing. And so we've seen what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that it looks kind of like an old Atari, but slightly more sleek and retro. And
as long as I get like one of those Homestar Runner Atari style games on it, I'll be happy.
Oh my gosh. Well, so we were kind of talking about this today, and we're like, I can't believe that this is going to be a thing, because if it is what we think it is, this is a tried and proven failure. If it ends up being, so what they said,
it's not just like a console like the SNES Mini.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
He talked about it, and he said it's going to be like an SNES Mini, but also kind of a current generation video game console, while also being an all-in-one entertainment box, where they've already got developers on board to make new games. They're going to bring back classic games.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's like the Ouya, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't tell if you were agreeing with me or saying "ooh-yah."
Oh yeah, both yeah.
I wanted to play the
I was
"ooh-yah."
channeling my inner Fargo character, oh yeah.
It worked real well, okay?
Leonard.
Okay, then. Now the "ooh-yah" came and went,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, almost bought one.
Me too. I was this close. And honestly, there were some times where I was like, I probably would have had a good amount of fun with it. And honestly, nowadays, there are more games like PUBG and if Fortnite comes to Android, things like that, where an Android box would do very well, I think. But when it came out, I mean, there was not much more than like Angry Birds, and so you flick a stick.
And a lot of emulators. That's what it ended up being.
That's what it was, an emulator box.
I think I remember seeing like on Penny Arcade saying, this thing has the greatest launch lineup of all time. And they show like every N64, Nintendo, SNES game.
Yeah, and then the Raspberry Pi came and everyone knows how to just turn that into your own Game Boy and stuff. And it's like, they don't matter anymore. So what could this Atari possibly be other than to play one of my favorite Atari games, which was Centipede? I loved Centipede. Did you play Centipede?
I think I played it on like the original arcade version on computer.
Okay.
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so it's same ideas of like a Space Invader of the side scroll
except
side
there's
to
like
side
these
shooter.
other like mushroom things are in the way.
Yeah, but you also weren't confined to this single row.
Yeah, you could go.
You could actually go up.
Yeah.
And so it added this whole new. All of a sudden, I know at the time. Oh, really? But at the time, that was huge.
That's revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly. So at the time,
changed the game.
I remember when I played it, it was so hard because you had to decide. I mean, it was dangerous. When you moved up, you're out of the comfort zone now.
Yeah.
I love that game. So like to play those again would be really fun, but it's not a system seller to me. To have like Netflix, Hulu, and all that stuff they're talking about having on it, that's definitely not a system seller to me because I've got a Fire Stick, I've got a Chromecast, I've got all those other things.
Smart TV, Chromecast, PS4, Xbox. Like,
exactly.
Everything is now that. So what's the play here for the living room? Like, what are they going to add to it that's different other than just, here's some old Atari games that don't, in my opinion, like, I've tried to go back to Atari games.
Mm-hmm. I know, it really doesn't hold the same magic, because you can think about old games like all you want. Case in point, GoldenEye. I could think about GoldenEye all day and be like, man, that game is just gorgeous and fun. And you go back to play it, it is a mechanical mess.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those C-sticks are a nightmare.
It was buttons.
The button, everything.
Buttons.
I mean,
buttons.
Yeah, that's right. The C buttons, the C stick didn't come till the GameCube, kids. But remember, like, to look up and down, you really shouldn't. But to look up and down, you would just be like, and I'm down.
I remember
and I'm up.
I would look down with it, and if you were in multiplayer, it's like, hey guys, come here, look at me. You go all the way down, and the way the animation go, if you would to strafe while looking down, it suddenly put one of the arms up in the air like this. And so if you switch directions while strafing with the C button, because that's how you strafe, with the C button, it would suddenly switch the arms like this.
Yeah.
And so if you keep typing like this, you just see the arms do like this weird, crazy thing, and it looked like you'd be spazzing out.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. We were like, watch me. And then we wouldn't kill each other. We just like keep doing this. And
I love stuff like that.
The match ended and nobody won.
Our favorite thing to do.
But we all had fun.
Oh, we all had. I mean, there's sometimes like games, there was no actual point when you played with friends.
Yeah.
It was like, how can we make each other laugh? And one of those big ones for us was Battlefield Vietnam. You could do this thing. Remember in the Vietnamese War, they would just play like really loud music.
Oh, yeah?
Like blare it. It would be like psychological warfare. They would just play the same songs over and over, and it would try to drive them insane. And in that, you could play songs and like helicopter stuff you're driving by. But there's this animation. If you just slid your mouse up and down, your guy would just be like complete headbanging. And so we'd play, you know what everybody's heard about the bird. And so someone would sit on the back of a tiny little scooter and just thrash like that. And so that's what we would do throughout entire matches.
I never got into Battlefield Vietnam because something just felt weird about Battlefield Vietnam. The fact that
disagree.
We made a game about probably one of the most traumatic wars and horrific wars our soldiers fought, where we aren't entirely the good guys in that.
What's more human than making a video game about that?
No. But I'm like,
What do you mean? Of course.
1942 makes sense. At least there's like...
We're the good guys in everything that we're involved in.
America!
F yeah!
Gonna save the mother effing day now!
So I would say that Atari... the only thing to me is if they already have lined up with these developers they're talking to of these old franchises like Centipede, they already have a new game in the works. Or something classic like E.T., that is infamous.
Can we get an E.T. remastered?
I'm serious.
With modern graphics, but it's still broken.
But still broken, yes! I feel like there's things they could do to be like, this is a system seller where it's like, this is that game I completely remember. You've redone it to the point where I want to play it again. The only way for me to play it is to get the Atari VCS for $150,
It's gonna be $100?
No.
Oh,
Speculation.
okay.
No.
You had me like, what?
I think that it should be if they're aiming for like a classic / set-top box.
I thought I had a hair in my mouth.
Oh. But like the SNES, right, is what's 80, 70, 80?
80.
I think it was 80.
Yeah.
So like you take that and then you add a streaming box on top of it.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to not recognize that, but I'm having a hard time ignoring it. Okay, go on. It happened, and I know the bit works if we just move on, but I just can't.
I just wanted to talk about Atari.
Go on.
I don't know. Centipede's nice. E.T.'s nice.
I guess I just gotta look at that like, okay, the SNES Classic makes sense. Like, hey, here's a way to play these games that, like, it replicates the time you remember playing them with this original controller.
That's
Same
the thing
with the NES. But and with the Atari, like, hey, you can replicate the time of the original controller, but also we're gonna be an Ouya and make a play for the living room. Like, what's the end game for that?
And they have a new controller, like an ergonomic pro gaming controller, but they also have kind of a joystick.
Yeah.
So it's going to combine the two, and that's what I feel like they're going for, is they're like, we're going to give you both, but at the same time, it's like, is now the time to even try and put your foot in that console door? You know, because Xbox owns it in the feature section, and PlayStation owns it in the software section. So, like, there's really nowhere for you to go. And Nintendo is just, they're in their own world. They're innovating like crap. They've got all the software and the hardware going for them. So it's like, where do you fit? What are you trying to do?
There's Sony and Microsoft, like, having a brawl in the center of the playground, and people are rooting for them and taking sides. There's Nintendo over in the corner saying, hey, look, guys, what I did.
They're like straight up on the merry-go-round having fun.
Yes.
And like kids start noticing and going over there instead.
this is sad. That's fun.
Yeah, look at that guy. Well, you know what's funny is, like, you see, like, God of War came out, right? Getting like,
I'm loading it right now.
Getting
so
like
I can go
nines
home,
and
I can play it.
So it could just Atari.
I know.
It's getting like 9s and 10s, right? And then Xbox puts out Sea of Thieves, and they're like, so we have original Xbox games coming to the Xbox One? They're like, isn't that cool? Like, please remember when we were great?
Actually, that makes me happy. I have a lot of the old Star Wars ones that I had for the 360 and backwards
They're
compatibility.
like all going to be on there too.
Yeah, I know. That made me happy because I've been collecting them.
Well, see?
I have a Star Wars video game collection because I like Star Wars, even if they're bad games.
No, you don't.
I hate it.
Ha ha ha. Star Trek for life. How do you do? What is it?
That.
Nanu.
What's it? Which one? I don't know which hand it is. Is it either?
How do you do Dane Cook Superfly?
It's
Super
that.
Finger. It's that.
Am I allowed to do this?
Is this offensive?
I think so.
Quick, conversation change. Which one of these is more offensive?
This. Did you listen to the IGN Unfiltered a few years ago with Ed Fries about, like, how they convinced Bill Gates to do the Xbox? Because Bill Gates hated the idea at first. Loathed it. Like, they had a meeting on Valentine's Day, and Bill Gates came in with a stack of the PowerPoint slides about the Xbox, threw it on the ground and said, this thing is the worst effing thing, and goes against everything I've done at this company. And they're like, and so for 4 hours they're going through this, and Steve Ballmer, who was like the current CEO at that time, was also railing against them, and each of the Xbox guys were pitch idea trying to defend it, and like for 4 hours they're just getting railed on by Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates, till finally, like, one of the other guys that's just been observing the whole thing, is kind of a senior guy at Microsoft, I don't remember, they didn't still explain the name, he just goes, what about Sony? And so like Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer looking like, what about Sony? This is like 99.
Yeah.
And Sony had the PlayStation, but there was a PlayStation 2 with DVDs, and they knew Sony's making a play for the living room, and they viewed Sony as a competitor in the living room. Within 5 minutes, they said, all right, you guys have all the money you want, anything you need, because they suddenly realized, like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
We gotta go against Sony,
yeah.
and this is the way to do it. But just those words, 3 words, what about Sony?
Mm-hmm.
And all these guys, like, trying to defend their idea. The guy just brings up the competition that Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer were afraid of, that would get into the living room.
Do you know what I see is that comic that everybody brings up all the time, where it's the guy in, like, the meeting room,
then
and he has
throw
the
him out
idea
the
to
window.
just chuck him out the window.
Yeah. Except him, they didn't throw out the window. Like, crap, what about Sony?
I'm like, oh, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is, like, that's Microsoft and Sony, and then Nintendo's literally in, like, an underground bunker somewhere, and they're, like, coming up with cardboard.
they're They're making tinfoil hats, and we're buying
They
it.
have no idea what's going on in the other companies. No idea. And it's working.
They're playing with their action figures and smashing them together and making them kiss.
And it's working. Look at all those amiibo.
I know. Look at that.
Well, what do you think about the Atari? Is it going to be worth your time? Did we even talk about it? I don't know.
I don't know if we did.
Who cares? This is Nightblog. Look to the stars. Stop watching us. Who the crap are you? How did you get in my house?
This is the first time we've met. Nice to meet you.
I'm Vlad.
Your hands are very cold.
Greetings, fellow Stargaters, and boy, don't you just love spring. I mean, although I really love the brilliant stars of winter, I also really look forward to the soft, muted stars of spring that echo the gentle colors of Earth's landscape in early spring.